Can you dig it, sucker?
Rebooker to it, where you take a moment in wrestling history and you rebook it, or maybe something that never ever happened. Could be anything. For me, it's my turn this week, and I've picked quite a controversial, well, not controversial. This is something the Bushwhackers winning the WWE World Tag Team Championships. Now, bear with me, right? And I'm going to try and surmise this one. We'll make it a more regular thing.
I'm excited.
We'd love for you guys to set us challenges, one or both.
Yeah,
or
that's a good idea.
We'll take it on if you think there's a storyline. We'd love to rebook it. We're not like the other people that rebook things on YouTube and stuff like that, and then nasty stuff comes out about them on the internet. I don't know whoever they may be.
Who's that?
Who might that be? But I've picked the Bushwhackers winning the World Tag Team Championships. Now, the reason for this is they came into WWF as a very family-friendly act. The Bushwhackers, Luke and Butch, had been the sheep herders, bloodthirsty, ruthless, dangerous tag team all across Europe, all around the planet for years and years and years. Elder statesmen, they got offered this family-friendly gimmick. Yeah, the wacky. There was a bit when America seemed to go like Australia and New Zealand daft.
Aye.
Just absolutely daft. Crocodile Dundee, all that kind of stuff.
What's his name? Steve Irwin.
All that kind of stuff. So those guys came in, they got that gimmick. So this is what I am suggesting, right? So they came in, they were massive when they came in. Yeah. Absolutely huge. They loved them. They made people care about them. They loved them. You never see a boring Bushwhackers match. In fact, there's a match between them, unbelievably, against the Natural Disasters at SummerSlam 91, which is really entertaining. Like, you think they're going to beat they're going to beat the Natural Disasters who were on their way to tag titles. But anyway, so the idea is this simple. We revert from the Bushwhackers to the Sheepherders. We can still call them the Bushwhackers. They're beloved, licking kids' heads and all that type of thing. They get a shot at the Hart Foundation and the Tag Team Championships. It's a regular Bushwhackers match. But what happens is after they hit the heart attack, poor Luke is down. And Luke is hurt. Luke is hurt, but they manage to get to their feet, and it's handshakes all round. And it's agreed, you know what, we got to do this. We got to do this one more time. We got one more time because the Bushwhackers have never had tag team gold here in ICW. Wouldn't it be great to take it back to New Zealand? Then the rematch takes place, and the Bushwhackers once again come up on the losing streak. But this time, for some reason, they've taken it personally. We never got to know much about Luke and Butch apart from them being the Bushwhackers and being family-friendly guys. And after the match, they kick the living shit out of the Hart Foundation. And I mean something that you wouldn't necessarily see in 1990 and 1990 work. They get chairs.
Do we see colour?
They get chairs, they get tables. There might even be some colour. Like, we get to see the Bushwhackers completely turn it on their heads. Completely turn it on these heads. Butch gets on and cuts a very short but almost... I'll say Neanderthal-like promo in terms of like, we don't give a crap about these stinking fans. We came to America to make gold, to make money, goddammit! And we have to deal with these two. Bang! Bret Hart's on his way out. Jim the Anvil Neidhart says he's going around being one of the toughest men. We were spilling blood across the planet way before the Fart Foundation. Why do we call that? The Fart Foundation. Even laced their boots.
Got to get a bit of the 80s in there by calling the Fart Foundation.
We were down spilling blood on your daddy's company, Brett, when you were in diapers.
You thought this a lot.
And you're going to be standing in the way of our tag team gold. So that's it. We revert to the sheep herders in terms of just being ruthless, hated. And they get the shot at the Hart Foundation. And they manage, and I think we'll call it a Canadian street fight because Brett and Neidhart. Hey, listen, we just beat Demolition. We beat one of the best tag teams. 2 out of 3 falls, the greatest tag team. You ain't taking these titles away from us. And they do it in a Canadian street fight match, and the Bushwhackers take the belts.
Get the gold.
So I am bringing the breakup of the Hart Foundation forward a year.
Yes.
I'm bringing it up forward a year because here's the thing, right? Jim Neidhart wasn't great.
God rest him.
Great as a tag team, great in the Hart Foundation, but it wasn't great.
Right, okay.
And as much as I really liked the Nasty Boys, who would be a great tag team to put up against the Bushwhackers, they ain't going to have the titles long because round about 91, 92 is when the Bushwhackers really start getting toned down, phased out.
Right.
So I think we've got to give them, and you can't give them the titles as faces.
Yeah, do you know what? I like it. I like it because the Bushwhackers are somebody who, as you said, had that history behind them.
Yeah.
And it's something that they probably should have been allowed to do at WWE at some point. But look, listen, as you've mentioned before, like they were probably just in that stage of their career where they're like, you're getting money.
Hey, listen, do you want a guaranteed contract?
No.
You sell your merchandise and all that type of thing. But one last shot to be world tag team champions.
I'm surprised. So they never were world champs in WWE. That's not.
Never even got. I think they got various shots.
You'd think that even like a short reign.
But even to make them almost semi-tweeners, if it just became personal between them and Nasty Boys. I mean, it could be the Nasty Boys that take the title. Imagine a street fight at WrestleMania between the Sheepherders and the Nasty Boys.
They could have been like the 80s, the early 90s version of like the Briscoes.
The Briscoes?
Just like fucked up faces.
Yeah.
Like nasty bastards.
Yeah.
They could have been that.
They're
I can see it.
They're nasty. So they take on the Nasty Boys. They have the tag team titles, maybe, I don't know, Survivor Series through to WrestleMania. If the Hart Foundation break up, Brett starts getting into the Intercontinental scene a wee bit earlier. They take on the super heels of the Nasty Boys, maybe even standing up, and they can revert to the cartoon characters straight after it because they stood up to the big bad Hart Foundation. But they need to get the shot, they can't win it as a face. They can't win it as a face.
It's nuts because as Hall of Famers as well, you just assume that they were tag champs, and they've never. They
were huge, but you have to ask this question: would I have rather had that happen or the babyface? Probably the babyface.
Fair enough.
But it would have been interesting to see them win the tag titles at least once.
I think that there's very few people in the history of wrestling that have just been one specific, face. Heel, whatever, for their whole careers. I think everybody deserves a chance to show us that other side at some point. Just to make
these were guys that caused riots in Puerto Rico. These are guys like, why they never maximise that at least once or twice?
I think there was a lot of misfires though. Like you think about, and even coming back to the Vince documentary we were talking about, like. And I remember there was a lot of documentaries as well on the Dark Side of the Ring that were talking about people that Vince signed in the late 80s, early 90s, and he had them do stuff that was just so different from what they got big for. And I'm like, why had he done that so many times? Because I think Vince just had a real terrible problem with... he wanted to book what he wanted to see, rather than what crowds wanted to see.
Anything else anybody had created. I mean, you think about it, even though Legion of Doom were massive, they only had a 2-year run in WWE.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that was such a misconception of mine growing up, was like, I always thought that Legion of Doom were like, huge WWE guys and blah, blah. But that was WWE propaganda, like being like, oh no, we made these guys. No, they didn't. No, they didn't at all, but it was like propaganda.
It was like 2 years. 2 years they were with WWE and then they fucked off because, Hawk was a joke. So,